Republic, are you ready for some comedy? Welcome to the stage, me, Bron Lewis! So good! How good's that song? Someone said to me at work yesterday, I said, I need a song to go on to. I can't remember what I usually use. And he said, well, you look like someone who'd like Shania Twain. So I bashed him. I was like, as if, and then I used it. Don't tell him. We sold it out. Congratulations, we did it! Thanks so much. Thank you so much for coming. I feel really lucky because there's so many shows on, so many things to do in Melbourne. I mean, it's not Canberra. And you've come to my show, so I'm really grateful. Thank you so much. What we're going to do, you guys, I'm just going to press time, otherwise I'll talk to you for the rest of your lives. What we're going to do for this whole hour that we're going to spend together, we are just going to have a really lovely, stress-free time. No negative thoughts. If you're thinking like, oh, my boss is shit, like everyone's boss is shit. I'm my own boss. I'm shit. Like we're just going to have a nice, easy time. Does that sound nice? Does that sound good? Does that sound good? Lovely. Yeah, great. Good. Little bit about me. I'm avoidant. I avoid hard feelings. I avoid difficult conversations. I avoid bad thoughts. Don't do them, won't do them, no thanks. I figured a while ago that they were optional. And I highly recommend it. I mean, I've trained my brain to do it. It's so good. Like, when you're on a plane, there's turbulence. Most people are like, oh, no, we're going to die. Not me. I'm like, we're going to die. How good's this bit? It's so handy. It's great. My whole family's avoidant though. We're all avoidant. When we have family get-togethers, my brothers and sisters and I just stand in a circle and just yell about ourselves at each other at the exact same time. We just do it because we're just worried someone's going to say something heavy. We're like, la 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 la. It's so unhealthy. We love it. We weren't born avoidant, my brothers and sisters. We weren't born avoidant. We were taught it by my mother. By the way, some people say to me, oh, like, Bron, you should experience bad feelings. You should, otherwise you don't grow as a person. And I say to those people, nothing, because I avoid people like that. Yucky, yucky, yucky. Yeah, so we did learn it from our mum. She's the queen of avoidance. The Melbourne Comedy Festival was on recently. My mum came to stay with us just to help with the kids for a bit. And before I left for a gig, I said, Mum, just remember that the middle child, she's lactose intolerant. You know that, yeah? She went, yeah. And then she leant down to the 7-year-old and went, well, not tonight, though, are ya? Not sure if it works like that, Helen. My mum is so avoidant that she hates all negative feelings, and she really hated the feeling of weaning her kids off breastfeeding. And so in order to avoid that negative feeling of like swollen boobs and crying babies, she just had to have another one to replace it. So it meant she had to have 5 kids. That is a really expensive way to avoid a hard feeling. And the strategy worked fine. It worked fine. Except obviously she stopped having them. So I got to her 5th kid, my little sister Rosie. The way that she was weaned was by her primary school teacher. And I reckon teachers do enough, eh? So there's just no working with children's check in the world that will allow that kind of milk break. My grandma was also very avoidant. I'll give it to her in a second. But I reckon what growing up with these avoidant women, I remember the time that I decided to be avoidant. I remember, and it was my mum mostly. She was so admirably avoidant. I was a teenager, and you know, teenagers are just like drowning in bad feelings all the time. I remember looking at my mum not giving a fucking shit about anything and being like, how does she do it? I remember the exact moment I decided to be like her. Growing up, we had a car called Clare. Okay, so Claire was a Toyota Tarago. Give me a cheer if you grew up with a Toyota Tarago. Okay, a few povos in, well done. Someone paid for their ticket. So, but we're going with Toyota Tarago, and Claire was like, she was like a peach exterior, like this peach champagne exterior, beautiful. On the inside, she had like maroon velour, so nice. But all the chairs, because Mum was a single mum with 5 kids, and we didn't look after poor old Claire, so Claire's seats were like torn to buggery, so the springs would dig into our bums, and then the carpet on the ground was so torn up that the metal was exposed, so when the car was on, it would burn our feet. And so Mum, she could have fixed it, she avoided it. Instead, she just, she went and got like a big, thick brown blanket and put it on the ground, and it worked fine. It was actually fine. And having Claire in primary school wasn't a big deal. It was actually pretty cool because you could turn her on with a paddle pop stick. Which was great because Mum could never find the keys and I was always ready for a paddle pop. So and having Claire in primary school was fun. We thought it was great. But my mum did this really annoying thing when we got to high school. She cared about our education. In primary school, you didn't understand class. You didn't understand it. But in high school, because Mum sent us to these really fancy schools that we had no business being at, Claire was a disaster for us. So, you know, and in high school, all you're just trying to do is just fit in. You're just trying so desperately to fit in. You're like, yeah, I'm not poor. Yeah, I've got a Discman. Left that at home, but so trying desperately to fit in, and it doesn't matter, like, it's just the crazy thing, like, it doesn't matter how hard you try, your pour will spill out when you least expect it. I remember being in high school, and I was sitting in year 7 maths, and this girl behind me went, Bron, do you know you've got nits? I was like, hey, Erin, do you know you're a fuckwit? Got her. Another time I was just walking down the hallway of this very fancy school, and this teacher behind me went, Bron Lewis, you have hemmed your dress with a stapler. I'm calling your mother. I said, who do you think did it? Mum didn't have time to hem things. She was a single mum. She hadn't time to do anything, so it killed her when I started netball. Holy shit. I don't know if any of you have seen a netball skirt, but it has around 950,000 pleats. I don't know who designed that, but it wasn't a single mum. So my mum just didn't. So it was like all the other girls had these tiny little skirts around them. And mine just poofed out. Like this, like, mahogany tutu. Like walking over to netball every time, like, and like, we can hear the poor girl coming. I love netball. In year 8, we got into the grand finals. Sorry to brag. And we got, some of you guys probably remember, it was Radford versus Darramala, huge day. Some of you guys probably were there. And it was a huge day for me. And Mum had driven Claire around the corner because she never came to watch me play netball because she was disinterested. And so she She just parked around the corner. We never parked down the front. I didn't want anyone to see Claire, so I put her out the corner. And I jumped out and I ran to the netball courts. And Mum had this moment where she could have just driven away, but instead she thought, probably should go see one game. If I could go back in time and say, don't worry about it. You don't need to do that. I would, but I couldn't. And so my mum got out of the car, and it was a freezing cold Canberra morning. Like, she was not dressed for this moment of spontaneous good parenting. She was not. She was wearing jeans and bed socks and Masua sandals. Remember Masua sandals? They're like the Aldi Birkenstock. There was a couple of variations. You could tell a lot about someone by the type of Masua sandal they chose. There was like either the neutral tan colour. She fucking designed them. Hit a nerve down here. That's never happened at the Masua bit. I'll keep going. She'll be all right. Couple of variations. So the tan ones for like, you know, the neutral mum, like the relaxed mum, and then there was like the black ones for the fucking edgy mum, you know. And then there was the bumpy ones for the tough cunt mum, and then there was the smooth ones for the calm mum. My mum had the tan bumpy ones, so it was a really fucking mixed messages there. So she had bed socks, Masua sandals, jeans, and she didn't have a jacket, and it was a freezing cold Canberra morning, and so she was like, oh, I don't know. So she went to the back of the car, got the brown blanket out and wrapped herself in it. It had a lollipop on it. And then she walked all the way through the hockey fields towards netball courts, and I could see, I was like, fuck, is that a rabid yeti? Oh! So bad. Then she stood next to this stadium. Stadium was full of these mums with like pop collars and pearls, and had blonde bobs and like these North Face jackets, and when anyone did something good they'd go, oh. And my mum stood next to the stands because she couldn't fit in there. The blanket was too big. And she just yelled so loudly, like as if she was at like a soccer match in Barcelona. And she didn't know any of the rules or any of the girls' names. So she just yelled things like, come on, netball! And she yelled the whole way through. At one stage, one girl was like, fuck, whose mum is that? I said, it's Erin's. At the end, we won. Huge brag. At the end, we won this game. Oh, my God. Suck shit, Darramarlin. We won. It was huge. We all went to the canteen. We got red frogs because the olden days kids were allowed sugar, and we were just, like, eating them, like, loving ourselves sick. And I just noticed in this sea of blonde bobs, there was no more Helen. And I was like, holy shit, where'd she go? I said, where's my mum? And people were like, we don't know. And then I heard Clare the Tarago drive around the corner. No. And parked right there, and everyone looked at it. They all had white four-wheel drives. None of them had a farm. And they all kind of looked over. I looked at this giant Tarago. They were like, is that a horse and carriage without the horse? I was like, oh my, I was so angry at my mum. My mum was sitting in the driver's seat. We were making direct eye contact, so I don't know why she did this. She just went, I don't know why. I think she was just showing off the last thing that worked in the car. I was so angry that she did that. I was like, what are you doing? I was like, my eyes. And then I turned around and I opened the sliding door, and it kept going, and then it fell off. I could not believe it. I was like, oh my God. There was an audible gasp from the rich people. I crawled in to the back row because poor cars have rows. I got to the back row and I just lay on the ground and I was like, I hope they can't see me. They could see me. There was no door. I saw my two little legs pop out, my giant tutu. They were like, is Bron all right? No, Bron's not all right. My mum, sitting in the front seat, threw her head back and laughed so loudly. And then she got out of the car and then she waved at everyone. She was like, hi, you played well. Oh, hello, yes, yeah. And then she leant down and she picked up this giant door and she put it in the car. And then she leant out the back and went, you right, Bronnie? That's funny, wasn't it? I was like, no, it's not funny, Mum. And then she went, bye, see you later. She got back in the car and then we drove home and she laughed the entire way. And I did not take a breath for 25 years. We got home and I thought, there's going to be a negative feeling here. There's going to be a hard feeling. It's going to unravel. Now's the timing. Closed door. She is going to have a bad feeling. But instead, she went to the kitchen, picked up the phone. She called her friend Sue Dalton. And she said, Sue Dalton, you'll never believe what happened at netball. The car door fell off! And then I heard Sue Dalton's cackle come through the phone. Now these two manic women laughing at the worst, most traumatic moment of my whole life. I thought, how the fuck did they do that? How did they do that? How do they do that? I even heard Sue Dalton say something like, is Bronnie all right? I goes, yeah, probably. No. I wasn't. I thought, how do they do it? How do they dodge negative feelings? I thought, that's how I'm just going to do that. If they have decided, if they've worked out how to do that, if it is optional, I'm going to do it. I thought back to my grandma. I mentioned before she was avoidant. She was serially avoidant. She, I would describe her, Billy Lewis, very tough woman. She was a matron of a regional hospital and she avoided every health warning out there. She's dead now. She smoked like a chimney, she drank like a fish, and she played golf in Magpie season. That is incredible. I don't think any human ever has been more or felt more pathetic than when they're being swooped by a magpie, you know? It's a horrible feeling. At the same time, I don't think there's anything funnier than watching someone be swooped by a magpie. Like, this is a lovely show, we're having a great time, but if there was someone out there being swooped by a magpie, I'd welcome you all to leave, you know? Oh, that is better, yeah? Do you know I did a study last year because people were worried magpies were getting meaner? A real study with real money behind it. I mean, we had a lot of time to think. We were really worried about it. And so we went to the scientists and the scientists were like, yeah, guess we've spent a lot of time on cancer lately. We'll, let's have a look at the Magpies. So I did. They went and had a look at the magpies and they did an experiment and they said, yeah, actually they are mean. Good. But also, one thing that you might not know is they're really smart. They're really smart. So they're really mean and really smart. Like Peter Dutton. Except smart. And then they So what they conclude is they're like they're actually really mean. They're really smart because they can recognise up to 100 human faces. So if you feed a magpie, they'll recognise your face and they won't swoop you. Amazing. Most people are like, that's enough of that study. Well done. I've moved on. Me, I was like, how'd they do that? I'm going to have a little think about that experiment. What I love about that experiment is that they had to get heaps of people willing to go out in magpie season. How'd they find them, you know? And how I reckon they convinced them is they're like, you each can have a little helmet with the spikes on it. Yeah. Don't look up, they'll get your eyes. So just, we'll just put your passport photos on each of the little spikes. Then you go out with a little snack, and then that's it. What I love more about this experiment is they knew that there was a limit. It was up to 100 people, which infers there were more people in the study to begin with. I love thinking about the second day, you know, the 101st person walking out with the people going, fuck, how good's science? Yeah. How good is that? Just do our little bit for science. Yeah. Let's call him Gary. Gary's always talk like that. Yeah. Yeah. Let's be a science. I can't wait to see the magpies. The magpies are looking down going, whoa, 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 whoa. Who's that? And Gary's like, guys, I was here. Yes, I was wearing a silly hat. Yeah, but this is Tina. Yeah, we remember Tina. No, I was here too. I gave you a little sausage. We looked at each other and you worried and I was worried. And remember me? I'm Gary. And they're like, no, we don't remember Gary. Let's fuck Gary up, you know? And that's how Gary died. I love it. I love thinking about that, Sonny. So magpies are terrifying. My grandma used to play golf in magpie season, and there's this story, it's a legend about her. I don't know if this is necessarily true. I wasn't there, and no one who was there is alive anymore. So you know when a story's so good, you don't care if it's real or false, you know? I guess that's how religion works. Anyway, so... the legend has it is my grandma's playing golf, and in regional New South Wales, magpies are furious there, and she's puffing away to Siggy. She's playing golf by herself. Magpies swoop. She's avoiding, and people in the golf club are watching, going, Billy Lewis, so avoidant, things like that. And probably, and then one magpie is so angry that this lady's ignoring them. He swoops down and he misjudges the height and he wedges his beak into her skull. And he gets stuck there. And so he's just flapping on her face like an aggressive fascinator. And I don't know neither of them died. I don't know how my grandma recovered from this moment, though. I wasn't there, but if she was anything like my mum, she just would have plucked it out and breastfed it, you know? Fixed. How are we going? Yeah. We've got so much to go. I reckon I was born in the wrong era. This era that we are living in, you guys, it's not for me. It's not the one that I was supposed to be born into, because this era that we're living in, we really celebrate vulnerability. Yuck. I don't like it. I don't know. I mean, we really celebrate. You go onto social media, you scroll through, you're just constantly accosted by these influencers who are just crying. Just like talking about their journey with IBS. What? And there were so many followers. People love it. They just keep following. All these comments. You read the comments like hashtag brave. Hashtag I've got diarrhea too. I'm like, this is gross. What are you doing? I don't understand. I thought it was a secret. I blame Brene Brown. Brene Brown. Give me a cheer if you know Brene Brown. I mean, not personally, but we know. For those who don't know, Brene Brown, she's like a motivational speaker. She became famous, I don't know, about 5-10 years ago. When you look at her, if you just saw a picture of her, it's troubling, you know. If you just looked at her, you'd be like, oh, that doesn't look right. Because she looks like she's like a boomer with a Karen haircut. And she's like from the southern states of America, and she's quite religious, and she says things like neat, you know, like on paper she looks like the poster girl for All Lives Matter, but she's not. She's actually really great. Like, she says a lot of things that I love, and she's probably changed my life in some ways, but she says one thing that I hate is vulnerability is courage. What? Excuse me, I don't know, because I grew up in the 80s and the 90s. In the 80s and the 90s, we didn't see vulnerability as strength. We saw stoicism as strength. So that makes sense to me. If you thought, we grew up thinking that the strongest person in the world was the Chico roll poster lady. Oh, Chico roll poster, like that was strength. Like, if you cannot remember the Chico roll poster lady, holy shit, she was in every single fish and chip shop on the wall. I think that was law. Every single one had to have it. Made sense. I loved her. She was like this blonde, buxom woman who was wearing like head to toe in red leather, like a jumpsuit. She didn't even zip it up. She couldn't give a fuck. She just, like, her boobs are spilling out, just straddling a Harley Davidson, and she was holding a Chico roll next to her hip, nowhere near her mouth. She was not going to eat it. Yuck. And we respected her for it, you know? She didn't care. She was looking straight down the barrel of the camera. She wasn't crying. She wasn't even smiling. She couldn't give a shit whether you bought it or not, which is ironic because that's exactly what Chico rolls give you. It was incredible. I remember being about 7 years old in the fish and chip shop in Canberra. There's only one, and I was just looking up at this poster and being like, "Wow, that is strength. That is strength." You know, I reckon she'd be fine if her car door fell off. So as you can see, I'm struggling a little bit trying to transition into this new chapter where we're all like, yes, vulnerability is amazing, which I don't believe. I don't think we actually want to see it. Because if I came out on the stage tonight and all you guys were like, yes, Saturday night, it's going to be really great. If I came out and I was like, hey, I'm feeling a bit nervous. I miss my dad. Sorry, I'll start again. You'd be like, this is the worst show I've ever seen. It's going to be the longest fucking hour of our life. And it would be. It would be the worst. So I wouldn't do that to you. We don't actually want to see it. Think about it. I reckon showing vulnerability is quite selfish. Think about it. If you were just walking along and then you hear a busker, you're all like, fuck, where is he? Oh. Shit, where is he? Oh, God. Don't fucking look at him. And you look up and then you accidentally make eye contact with a bloke with a tie-dye T-shirt on with two different colour Crocs on, just with a ukulele, just strumming away, just butchering Wonderwall. And you know he's thinking, maybe she's going to be the one that saves me. But I'm not going to save you. But when you make eye contact with someone and they're being vulnerable, you have to be very sensitive. So you have to be like, fuck, what do I dance? You know? Or do I look for money I'm not going to give him? You know? Or do I just gently, kindly, ever so gently, just tell him to grow up and get a fucking job, you know? It's very hard to know what to do there. Another example of vulnerability being selfish is when your mate has a very, very painful breakup and you go over to help them and then they just ugly cry for ages. And you have to just sit across from them like this. You finished? No, okay. And at the end, she feels great. She's got this post-cry high. She's like, yes, I think I'm going to get over him. Thank you so much. Great for her. You just now know what it looks like when your friend's snot goes into her mouth. Selfish. The best example I have of vulnerability being selfish is years ago my older sister asked me to be in the birthing suite when she had her first baby. She's had heaps since, massive slut, but her first baby. So she, and some of you might be like, what? I thought your family hated vulnerability. We do. She'd never had a baby before. I'd never seen one be born before. Neither of us knew it was going to be a vulnerable situation. We've never spoken about it since. Anyway, she was in the labour, the birthing suite. I walked in and I stood in the wrong part of the room. And something happens when you're staring directly into the Matrix. Is you lose the ability to move. So I stood in the wrong part of the room for the entire vulnerable situation. And my sister was so vulnerable. She made vulnerable sounds. She made vulnerable smells. At the end of this very vulnerable time, she got to leave that birthing suite holding a baby that she was going to love for the rest of her life. And I got to leave that same birthing suite with the ability to sketch my sister's asshole. She, Brene, brown-eyed me the whole way through that. Disgusting. I do think people starting to look at me like I'm vulnerable. I'm 36. I feel like people are they're seeing me as a vulnerable person because people are trying to scam me all the time. Anyone here been scammed? Yeah. Wow. What happened? Yeah.
My husband, we had a shared bank account.
Yeah.
And suddenly $17,000.
Oh, someone's took.
He said that someone had.
He said that. Okay. Is he here tonight? No, he's not here tonight. I reckon I know how that ended. So, did you get the money back?
No.
You never got it back. No, I'm so sorry. I've made it sad. But anyway, that's a great one. That is not a great one for you, but that's more interesting than some of the ones people throw up here. One time I was in the festival, there was a woman who was sitting right there. She did not smile for the whole time. You know those people go, I don't like stand-up comedy, and someone goes, yes you do, come watch. You'll like this one. She didn't, you know. She was sitting right there, and I was carrying on doing whatever this is, and she looked like she was like almost asleep. And then I said, "Has anyone here been scammed?" And then no one said anything. I said, "Okay, great." I carried on. 2 minutes later, she then said, "I've been scammed." And then when I looked at her, she looked at me like she didn't know she'd said it. And I thought, fuck, this has got to be good. If she has woken up to enjoy this is going to be a good story. So I said, what happened? She said, oh, someone asked for my bank details and I gave them to them. I said, well, you're a fuckhead. You know, like, I don't know how to... Yours is way better, thanks very much. Anyway, so someone tried to scam me. Someone tried to scam me on Facebook Marketplace. I'd never been on it before. Someone said to me, Bron, you could sell some stuff. I'm bragging again. You could sell some stuff. You just sell on Facebook Marketplace. So easy. You just list it, someone buys it, it's done. I was like, great. Anyway, I went on there. Turns out Facebook Marketplace is where the scum of the earth go to communicate. What the fuck's wrong with that place? Oh, my God. I listed something. Every single person in the world, most of you guys, I reckon, popped up and went, hello? Is this still available? I was like, yes, dickhead, that is why it is there. And they go... It's like the weirdest cyberbullying in the world. They're just coming to let me know that my sale's not going well. Oh, did you think someone wanted this? No. No. Oh, it's great. I was going crazy. And then eventually this one person popped up and he said, I'll buy it immediately. I said, oh my God, thank God. And he said, oh, but just this crazy little detail. My bank doesn't trust your bank. As if they're high school enemies, you know? So in order for this transaction to happen, you're just going to have to transfer me $900. So I transferred him $900. No, I didn't. I was so cross. It was such a greedy ask. $900. I was so angry with him that I said 3 words. I am not old enough to say I'm 36 years old. I did not think I was allowed to say them for many years to come. I did not think I was even going to be able to pronounce them correctly. I said 3 words to him that I meant with all my heart. I said, shame on you. And fuck, I meant it. Oh, I meant it. It works, by the way. He died of shame. It was very effective. No, he didn't. I was so cranky though with this situation because the scam's happening all the time. I was like, what is going on? What's going on here? I looked, I did a bit of research. Last year, over $500 million was scammed from Australians. That's so much money. And the craziest thing, the thing that's even more sobering than that, is only 13% of scams are actually reported. What is going on? What are the 87% other people trying to keep it a secret like IBS should be? What is going on there? Oh, this is weird. I was like, that's crazy. If someone stole 50 cents from me, I'd call the FBI. I know they're not in Australia, but this is international news. What is going on? Thought about it. I was like, okay, so there's probably 2 reasons as people why they're not reporting a scam. One is if the scam is so good that us as Australians, we're like, yeah, you got me! Ah! Oh! I did not see that! Oh! That is crazy! Oh, well done! Oh, that was good! That was really clever! Keep the $900, it was yours. Well done, mate. Yeah. Very good, you know? It's kind of like, you understand the consequences. It's kind of similar to like this rule. Do you remember this? Do you remember this rule? Do you remember this one? Remember this one? It goes, this rule was, if you don't remember, is if you put your hand like this and you have it under, like below your waist height, and if someone looks at it, you are allowed to punch them as hard as you fucking can. It was just a rule that we all accepted. Like, we understood, we're like, fuck, looked at it, all right, you know? Like, I remember punching my little brother so hard one time and he was crying and Mum was like, what did you do? And so I was like, she punched me. And I was like, but I did that. Mum's like, well, we shouldn't have looked at it. We just got it. And the other reason why people are keeping scams a secret, the other people who aren't reporting them, is if the scam is so bad that they're embarrassed, you know? They're like, oh God, you know, think about it. Like a 65-year-old bloke from like Wagga walking into the local police station and being like, hello, I'd like to report a crime. 25-year-old Nigerian princess promised to marry me. And I paid for a very expensive wedding with iTunes vouchers. The police were like, fuck, Daryl. You know? This is a lovely crowd. Oh. I feel like I'd take my pants off and you'd still support it. No, she's doing her best. It's weird, but it's okay. Good on her. She's so brave. I had a bit of an uncomfortable time recently. I had to stay 30 days. 30 days I had to stay with my in-laws. 30 days, so not my parents, my partner's parents, and 30 days and nights, 30 days and nights. I feel like you guys aren't grasping this. I had to stay with my parents-in-law for 30 days. Thank you. My God, it was fucking insane. It was very generous, fine, for them to open their door, welcome my partner, myself, and our 3 children into their house. But would it have killed them to not be so fucking annoying? Oh my God. Fucking hell. My father-in-law, holy moly, my father-in-law, he did this really annoying thing where he would time my showers. I don't know for sure that he was timing. I never saw a stopwatch. I just couldn't work out why else he'd be in the shower with me. I hate that joke. I do. My mother-in-law, she was even more annoying. My mother-in-law, she would cook really delicious edible food. So my partner would be like, is this what it's supposed to taste like? I'd be like, no, spit it out, And she'd cook a lot. My mother-in-law, she's Polish. My father-in-law, he's Polish as well. Means my partner's Polish. That's how genetics works, Melbourne. Let's go. But living with them, I realised just how different European mums are to Australian mums. They are, because European mums love their kids. Like heaps, And the love between a European mother and her grown son is revolting. There's 2 ways about it. Anyway, she would cook. She'd show this love by cooking, always cooking. She never ate it herself. She didn't deserve it, but she's always cooking, making him eat, always watching him eat. One time I came home from work, he was sitting at the dining room table and slurping soup like a fat little piggy. Opposite him was his mother just watching him like this. I thought, oh my God, I've got nothing in common with this woman. And then I noticed a single tear roll down her smiling face, and I thought, there it is. I hate how he eats as well. Yeah. We're having a much better time though. We're living back in our house here in Melbourne. We're in Brizzy for 2 years. Oh God! But now we've come back here. It's really great. Except we're struggling a tiny bit. We're living with a bloke who doesn't speak English. I know this is very unpopular to say in Melbourne, but it's really fucking annoying. Yeah. He's only 2. For Christ's sake, mate, you've been here your whole life. Assimilate, you dumb baby, We're trying to teach him English. It's hard teaching baby English. It's really hard. Some of my mates are like, Bron, you're a high school English teacher for 10 years. Surely you can teach a baby how to speak English. I'm like, mate, it's a bit different teaching an infant English from scratch compared to having a nervous breakdown in front of your mates, The skill set's different. Both of them have an undercurrent of regret, sure. One has Shakespeare. Anyway, we're teaching him words he needs to know to survive, because we do want him to survive. What a good mum. We're teaching him when he's hungry. We've taught him how to say food. Food, he's nailed that. Well done. When he's thirsty, we're trying to teach him how to say water. That one's hard for him. You and I pronounce it water. He pronounces it puta. And that is very funny. Because the cultured people in the room, we know that puta in Spanish means whore. The best. So I just got this tiny little fella in this terry towelly onesie just storming around my house like, puta, puta, puta. And so like, that's incredible. He does not know how to go through a whole day without shitting his pants, but he does know how to slut shame me in another language. So advanced. I could sit him down and be like, mate, it's water. And we'd get there eventually, but I don't, because it's funny. Leave it. At home we have a great time, but in public it's a bit different. You know, people, like I'll be in the supermarket, he'll be in the trolley, I'll be pushing him along. He'll be like, puta, puta, puta. I really should just give him a drink. Anyway, it's funny. We push him along. And people will start to look over because people know what it means. A lot of people know what it means. So I have to have this moment with complete strangers where I'm like, do I want them to think that I'm a shit mum who doesn't know how to teach her son how to say water? Or a cool mum who wants her kid to be bilingual? The answer's obvious. I'm like, hola. Watching babies learn is like it's very annoying because they're dumb for so long. Oh my god, it's incredible how dumb they are for so. I didn't realise how dumb babies were until my sister started having them, and on her first one, I couldn't believe how dumb he was for so long. He's just a normal baby, but holy moly, when he was about 6 or 7 months, she called me up. He'd been here for so long, and she said, "Bron, huge day for us. Lachlan's learned how to sit up." I was like, Amy, I do that almost every day. Who cares, you know? So when my son learned how to wave, that's when I understood, like, oh, it was a big day for us. We were very excited when he learned how to wave. He didn't know what it meant. He didn't know it meant hello or goodbye. He just knew that if he did this gesture in the direction of someone, that they would smile and return the gesture back to him. And he was drunk with power. He was getting up earlier, he was going to bed later. He was like, fuck, Mum, we got a lot on today. And it was pretty cute, except one time I had to catch a plane with my 3 kids, my 2 daughters and my son. And planes are very confusing for babies because he doesn't understand what's going on. He just sees we're in this giant metal tube full of people desperate to be waved at. And I have strapped him to me. Usually I'm hiding from him. And I'm strapped in to me. So he's confused and he's annoyed. And this crazy thing is like whenever you, by the way, if you ever get on a plane and you see a baby and you do this, oh fuck. Just you see, just know I can see you, yeah? And just remember, the person who hates that baby more than you is the person that brought him on. It's horrible travelling with a baby. You have to do anything to make them not annoying to other people. They will draw blood from you. And you're like, that's fine as long as that fuckhead's not angry, you know? That I will never see again. Don't interrupt his Earl Grey. Oh, no. He's never seen a baby before. It is the worst. Anyway, when we get it, I'm so stressed travelling with him. We get up in the air. I undo the seatbelt. I have to walk him up and down the aisle, and he has to wave at every single person on this flight. Otherwise, he will cry. So we get to a row, and he's just like, oh, gotcha. 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 Whew, Gotcha. And I'm standing behind him, my back's sore, my knees are aching, everything's so uncomfortable because I'm holding him up because he's a little bit wobbly still. I'm having to have these mindless conversations with people I will never see again and I desperately don't care about. I'm like, yes, he's one. Yes, he's a Pisces. Yes, he was a mistake. Keep going, you know? No one wants 3 kids. Anyway, we keep going. It's too many. We keep going. Eventually we get to this woman who does not have kids. I know she doesn't have kids because she's got a phone with no case on it. Oh my God. No cracks on it. It's beautiful. She's got this lovely outfit. Looks like she not only owns an iron but knows how to use it. She's exquisite. And I know she does not like babies because she kind of looks away. Like she just avoids him a bit. And I was like, oh, that's fine. I resonate. I notice all these things about her. My son doesn't. So he gets his wave going. He's ready to go. And she's really annoyed that he's not moving on. So she's ignoring him, becoming more of a bitch. She's acting like he's trying to sell her the big issue. He's like... Oh, just wave at him. This crazy thing is like, it does not matter how annoyed you are at your own kid. You could say the most heinous things about your child. You could think the most disgusting things about your own kids. But the second someone else is slightly frustrated with your child, you're ready to bash them, you know? So I'm now angry at her. I'm so angry at her. And he's just getting closer and closer and closer to her. And his hands are baby's hands are disgusting. It does not matter how often you wash them. It doesn't matter if they've never had a biscuit in their life. They're covered in biscuit crumbs and dog fur. We don't own a dog. And they stink, and he's just getting closer and closer and closer. She's annoyed. She's getting more and more annoyed. Like, what a weird fucking hill to die on. Anyway, he stops because he thinks, oh no, no one's taught her how to wave. I'll teach her. So he sees the one thing that's distracting her from him is the phone. So he puts his disgusting biscuit crumb, like dog fur, sweaty sausage finger hand on her lovely caseless phone, and he lowers it into her beautiful ironed lap, and she is angry. And she looks up at me, and everyone's looking up at me because I have to be quite performative on a plane with so many people, and I can't swear, so I just went, oh, fucking wave at him, you puta, you know? Okay. It is, I find it weird. It's weird in society when people say, I don't like kids. I feel like we treat those people as like Cruella de Vil, and that's fine to not like kids, but we'll always be like, oh, what a monster. But it is not weird in society for people to say, I don't like teenagers. We've just decided as a society that teenagers are the magpies, you know? We hate them. It doesn't matter. Everyone seems to hate them, and I feel really sorry for them. It's dreadful to be a teenager. You just always have to act like you know everything, and you just stink of Lynx Africa. So I think we hate teenagers because they remind us of maybe the most vulnerable we've ever felt. No one would ever be like, yeah, I'd love to be 15 again. That was fucking sick. Because it's not. They're so vulnerable, just walking around all gangly and weird, like things growing at different paces. Like they're just having the worst time, and everyone hates them, and they know it. They can sense it. They have a horrible time. And they always act like they know everything. I remember when I was a teenager, I acted like I knew everything. It drove my mum crazy. When my mum was hard to annoy, she didn't have a car door. Anyway, I do, like teenagers now, they do act like they know everything, but they would do though, because we grew up with no phones. Well, I did, no phone, but teenagers now, they have phones, so they do feel like they know everything. So these giant concepts that we as adults are struggling to understand, they are like, no, I get it. It's in my phone. It's fine. It's like they don't get it. So I walked past a bus stop the other day, and there were two teenage girls, both in their school uniforms, bitching about one of their mates, and one of them said, yeah, she is such a misogynistic slut. I thought, yeah, she does not know what at least one of those words means. I don't think there's any city in the world that hates teenagers more than Cairns. Cairns hates teenagers. I went there for a gig recently, and I went onto their local newspaper, and I was seeing what the issues were in the town, and there was one that said all the headlines were about like youth crime, teenagers. Anyway, there was one headline that stood out, and it just said, local hero rams her car into stolen car full of teenagers. I was like, what the fuck is that? A local hero. And then there was a picture of two smashed cars and this woman standing in front of them doing this. I was like, what is this? I looked at the comments. I went to deep dive into the comments. I was like, what? Surely people were upset about this. It was not. They were like, good on you, mate. Get the bloody... The cops aren't doing anything. I hope they fucking died. Like, it was so horrible. I thought, these poor teenagers, no one's respecting them. They're having a dreadful time. No one respects them. I thought, this is so sad. If the teenagers got their hands on this paper and if they'd learn how to read... I was a high school teacher for about 10 years. I know not every kid liked me. So crazy. I had this one girl who hated me. She was in year 12, and she'd written in her book. She didn't think I was going to see it, but I had to collect their books, and she'd written in it, I have an anecdote for you. One day, I'm going to drive over Bron in my car. I was like, bitch, please. No, seriously, please. I hate this job. Let's fucking... hate it. The worst kid I ever taught. Oh, the worst kid. Shane Whitley, his real name. Look him up. He, He's horrible. He was so horrible. It was my first year of teaching. My first year. I know there's some teachers in the crowd tonight, so you can resonate. I can't stop to talk to you. I'm in a rush. It was my first year, and I was so full of hope. Like, I was like, yes, I'm going to save the world. Anyway, he hated me. He just decided, Shane Whitley decided he was going to ruin my life. I'll describe him for you. He had a mullet in between the times they were cool. Yeah? And he had really thin lips, and he never blinked. He was like... He was absolutely terrible. And he hated me so... He hated me. One time I came into the classroom, he was already in there, and he had lined his desk with real bullets. I know. And because it was my first year of teaching... I was like, oh, I'm going to save him. I didn't. He's dead. No, he's not. I just wish he was. Shane Whitley, look him up. I hate him. I found it hard to feel sorry. For all the teenagers that I taught. Because whilst I did have a lot of empathy for them, because they were struggling, they were going through a lot of vulnerability, I found it hard to feel sorry for the ones with cool names. Because I grew up with the name Bronwyn, and that was not cool as a kid. It wasn't cool as a teenager. I'm struggling to make it cool now. It is really. It was just not a cool name. I don't know why Mum called me Bronwyn. I think the biggest issue I have with being called Bronwyn is my older sister called Amy, and that is instantly a cool girl. Like, if you are called Amy, you are instantly fucking cool. You could do nothing, and everyone will be like, yeah, she's pretty cool. You know? So annoying. I don't know what happened between the less than two years between Amy and I. It's like my mum was like, yes, I will have a cool girl, and I will have a lady who will work at Video Easy, you know? So annoying. And my sister Amy was such a fucking mole. Like, she was always like, she really suited her name. I remember one time when we were about six and 8, we went to this bookshop, and you could find like, you found like a baby name book, and you could find the origin of your name. Like, what? And we got to Amy first. A comes before B. Well done. What's Amy mean? And she was like, oh, it means beloved. I was like, they've spelt bitch wrong. That's not how you do it. I was like, what's Bronwyn mean? Surely Bronwyn means something good, surely. We looked it up. Bronwyn means white breast. Less than ideal. Amy was like, oh my God! I was so annoyed. It was so frustrating. So when I was teaching, I felt really annoyed when like the cool kids really like were like, I'm having a hard time. I'm like, you're fine. You know, like but not of it. Like Bronwyn didn't get a reboot. It didn't. Like a lot of old names got reboots. Bronwyn, crazy, didn't. And that meant that the teenagers that I was teaching, a lot of them hadn't heard my name before. So I remember teaching this fresh class of year 7s, and I said, "Hello, my name is Bronwyn." And one boy, who was very confident, very sweet kid, very confidently said, "Hello, Bromlin." And that is not the same name. Bromlin. And he was so kind. He was such a nice kid. Like, I didn't correct him because, frankly, it's nicer. So I just left it. And I taught him all the way from year 7 to the end of year 12. And almost every day I'd see him in the hallway and he'd go, "Hello, Bromlin." One of the teachers was like, "Is he calling you Bromlin?" I was like, "Fuck off, Erin," you know? It's always an Erin. At the end, eventually when I finally, when he was finishing year 12, I didn't have the heart to let him go into the world like that. So I said to him, "Mate, Bromlin isn't a name." Okay. And he said, "Oh, okay. What is it? Bronwyn?" I was like, "Yeah, correct, Bronwyn." And he goes, "Oh, what's that mean?" So I bashed him. Yeah. That's how I got fired. So I got one more story. I'm running out of time. I'm going to have to do this really quickly. Are you having a lovely time? So good. All right, okay, one more story. My career's going well. I gave up teaching about 4 years ago, and I've been doing just stand-up now. It's really, really fun. Last year, I performed at Enmore Theatre in Sydney. I performed at the Edinburgh Fringe in Scotland. I performed at the Clare Comedy Festival in regional New South Wales. I performed at the Clare Town Hall to 19 farmers, all called Heather. Heathers are a tough breed, let me tell you. Oh my God. Heathers don't laugh. Heathers don't laugh. When Heathers like something, they nod. And if they really liked a joke, they'd go, "Good." Amazing. That's so good. It's the most terrifying but satisfying gig I've ever done. At the end, we all walked outside to the streets in Cowra. One of the Heathers jumped on a tractor and drove away. Imagine they called her Tractor Heather, and the rest of them pat me on the back way too hard. And then I was so excited about how well that gig went with the most terrifying women in the world. I went to a bakery, I bought myself a sausage roll, and annoyingly the sauce spilt down my front, and I really needed that shirt. I was going to go to the airport, fly back to Brisbane. I had a gig straight from the airport. I needed that shirt to be clean. I could feel a negative feeling coming up. "No, don't do them, remember?" I was like, "No, thanks." I went to the op shop. I said, "Hello, op shop Heather. I just need a shirt." She said, "I don't care." And I went in, I got a shirt, and you want Heathers to like you. I didn't want her to think I was a wuss. I need to try it on. I said, "I need to try this on." She went, "Good, I don't care." I took the shirt. I went to the airport. I went into the bathrooms. I put it on. It was too small, like way too small. So small. Usually I have 2 boobs. In this shirt, I had 4 boobs. I'd 4 Bromwyns, yeah? Together I was 5 Bromwyns. It was not good. I go, "Oh, this is bad. Negative feeling coming up. Don't do them. La, 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 la. I'm fine. I'll deal with this later." I'll go to the gate, holding my boobs in, desperately holding them in. I get to the gate. I realise I'm flying Rex. Pardon? What's that? It's like the plane was... I'd never flown a Rex before. The plane was so small, I thought it was really far away. It was just there. And I was like, "That's okay, that's too small, it doesn't matter." I get out, I walked over to the plane. The 2 people who work on the plane, the pilot and the air hostess, they're standing in front of the plane, which was weird. And what was more weird is that they looked too young. They looked so young. I reckon the oldest they would possibly be was 14, 9 months. I was like, this isn't right. This is teenagers. We don't trust teenagers. This is fucking terrifying. And I was like, negative feeling, push it down. La, la, la. It doesn't matter. I look at them. They look like they're dressed for book week. It is not good. It's not good. He looks like he's wearing his dad's suit. She's wearing a navy skirt, a different shade navy blazer. She's got specks of glitter in her lip balm. She's got like one bit of hair over each eye. She's like, hey. I was like, fuck, this is not good. I get on the plane, I look in, and there is more seats in my Tarago than on this plane. Like, that's okay, I've got to get home, it's not a big deal. Negative feeling, la 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 la, it doesn't matter. I sit down, I'm watching people walk through the door. The door doesn't look good, it looks a bit shit actually. I start to think that if we're in midair, that door's going to fly off and all of us are going to get sucked out one by one and spat into the ocean. Some of us are going to get eaten by a shark straight away, some of us are going to get nibbled and then just bleed to death. Some of us are just going to sink down, no one's ever going to find us, and that will be my second worst experience with the door. Anyway, I'm noticing these people get on the plane and I notice there's a lady who gets on with a baby and the first thing I think is suck shit. The second thing I think is, oh, I've got one of them at home. Oh, I miss him. And I hadn't seen him in a few days and I thought about what he might have been doing. And I thought, oh, he's probably playing with his sisters. And I thought, oh, that's very sweet. I miss them as well. And this negative feeling is getting bigger. And I'm not sure why. I don't do them. I'm trying to get rid of it. I'm trying to distract myself. I'm holding my boobs in. I'm looking at anything on the plane. I'm not sure what's going on. This negative feeling is constantly reminding me that it is there and I'm not sure why and I don't like it. And I'm looking at the plane and it gets bigger and it's bigger and I realise that this negative feeling that I'm feeling is actually vulnerability and I hate vulnerability. I'm like, what is going on here? I don't know what's happening. I realise I'm feeling vulnerable because of the sound of the propellers that sound like a Kmart fan. I realise I think I'm going to die. And I never really thought that before, seriously. In like the past, I thought, oh, if you die, you just die and then that's it. But this time, as I'm sitting on the plane and missing my kids, I think if I died, I don't think I've done enough in my life for my kids to be proud of me yet. And that is a really sobering feeling. I realise I'm feeling vulnerable, and it's not an uncommon feeling for me. Ever since I've had kids, I felt vulnerable every day, perhaps even more and more every single day, and I don't like it, but I never acknowledge it. And I realise I'm feeling vulnerable every single day because I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing, ever. I don't know if I'm making the right decisions for them. I don't know if I'm supposed to give up teaching. I don't know if I'm supposed to start comedy. I don't know if I'm supposed to move to Brisbane, to Melbourne, have 3 fucking kids. I don't know what I'm doing, ever. But every day I pretend I do. I'm just like a huge teenager with better clothes. Wandering around. And I think back at my mum and the time that her door fell off, and I think she must have felt so vulnerable that day. Because her door fell off in front of all of those mums that all judged her for being a single mum, for not having much money, for having a shit car. And instead of showing that she was vulnerable, she smiled and she laughed. And she walked outside and she waved at all of them. And the ringing of vulnerability in her ears must have been deafening. And she picked up that car door that would have been way too heavy for one person and she put it in the car door. And instead of feeling anything for herself, she checked on me. She asked if I was okay. And what she would have seen is her teenage daughter just looking deeply embarrassed of her. And she continued to laugh. And she got home and she called her friend and they shared that vulnerability together. So I'm sitting on the plane thinking about how deeply ashamed I am of myself for making my mum feel that, but also feeling scared that I was going to die. I smell a Chico roll. And that's particularly impressive because airports don't sell Chico rolls. He's brought that through security. and is a dedicated Chico roll eater. And I think to myself, I'm sitting there, I'm like, the Chico roll lady wouldn't be upset. I look down and I'm dressed like her. Like, I can do this. I can fly. I'm not scared of planes. This is fine. We can do this. Let's go. The small child, their hostess, stands in the aisle, and I think now's the time. Now's the time that teenagers are going to show us that we should have believed in them, that they are capable of things, that we should feel safe around them too. She stands in the aisle, thinks, come on, babe, now is your time to shine. And she went, hello, welcome to the plane. And I thought, yeah, we're going to die. This is us. For us, this is it. That doesn't matter. We get up in the air and she's listing off all of the safety things. She's making them up. She's like, wear your seatbelt or not, no big deal. Get up in the plane and she's listing off. I'm thinking, she's not going to be able to comfort me. She can't comfort me. I'm going to have to, how do I comfort her? I'm going to have to comfort this giant child. How would I comfort her? I look down, I think, what would mum do? I'll just breastfeed her.